Gents, welcome back to the channel. Now today I wanted to talk about the idea that whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. You know, there was a time in my life before I took my personal development seriously, whereby I was engaging in a series of terrible habits. I was unhappy with the way I looked, the way I felt about myself. There were lots of things that I know I needed to improve, but just couldn't find the motivation or indeed the discipline to go and change them. Now looking back now, it was clear to me that I was choosing the conditions of my life, because as human beings, look, we have full autonomy over the decisions we make. Unlike any other animal or any other species on the planet, we can just simply decide what we want to do when we wake up. We don't have hunting rituals. We don't have designated patterns of behavior. Of course, there are things that we typically and generally do, especially to survive. But more than not, generally, we're a completely autonomous species and we can do whatever we like, whenever we like. Of course, there are consequences to some things, but within the general realms of normality, we can choose to do what we want with our time. And by the same metric, we can choose the life that we have. So look, if you are feeling like you are out of shape, you're feeling like you're engaging in some really bad habits and you're doing some things that are holding you back from where you want to be, then the harsh reality is, from me to you, from somebody who has made the same mistakes before, you are choosing that life. You are choosing that life. Whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. Whatever you are not currently attempting to do different, you are content with that current reality. You are choosing that current reality. So, if you know you've got some problems, let's say for example, you're in physically bad condition. You are not where you want to be physically. You are not in the shape that you aspire to be in. You have so much information on the internet. You have so much accessibility to said information. There is no excuse around how you do it. There is no excuse around the process that you go about in order to lose weight or to achieve your physical goal. It is simply a matter of finding the motivation and the discipline to start. Because once you start, that's a hell of a lot easier. But you must understand that the information's out there. You don't need any more information. You just need to start. You just need to do. Because as I said, whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. If you know you are engaging in a series of bad habits, something we've talked about a lot on this channel is the use of sexually explicit content and pornography to stimulate, to self-stimulate. If you have a problem with this, and you know you have a problem, but yet you are doing nothing about it, you are choosing that problem. And look, a lot of this, particularly in the male self-help space, is particularly simple. It sometimes seems offensive how simple it really is. A lot of male problems are simple. Guys, if you are doing something that is negatively affecting you in multiple different ways, you have to stop. You have to stop. It's not congruent with the life that you want to live. It doesn't match the mold of which you are trying to create. You have to ask yourself sometimes, what does the best version of myself look like? What is the best possible version of myself doing on a day-to-day basis? He's not sat there jacking off at 4 a.m. watching a bunch of porn. He's not sat there eating Doritos all day. He's not sat there missing gym sessions, spending hours and hours and hours swiping away on TikTok, wasting his life. He's not doing that, is he? So why are you doing that today? Because if you want to become that person, you have to start molding that life today. Something else I've talked about on the channel recently is the danger of allowing bad habits to persist for too long. You know, the longer you engage in a bad habit, the stronger it becomes, the harder it becomes to shake off. So look, if you know you've got some problems, you need to start shaking them off. Because as I said, whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. And the longer you choose to do these things, the harder it is to change. You know, you might be watching this right now and you might be a young guy in your 20s, maybe even 30s, And you might be thinking, I can shake this off. But I guarantee you, if you're still doing this at 40, it's a lot harder to shake off than it is at 30 or 20 or 18. These things grow stronger and harder to shake off, and it becomes more and more difficult, and it starts to affect your life in more than one way. So look, start to think about what the absolute best version of yourself looks like. The most high potential version of you. Where do you live? Which country do you live in? What does your house look like? What does your family setup look like? And then I want you to ask yourself, what are the things that this man probably had to do to attain that life? And now ask yourself, are the current things that you are doing conducive to building that life? I think you're going to find in most cases the answer is no. But look, it's not all doom and gloom. Some good news is that you understand you have a problem. A large part of the process of changing ourselves is understanding that our current reality is not satisfactory. The understanding that our current reality is in need of some kind of transformation. But you already understand that. You're in a good position. The next step is just taking action. The next step is just deciding, you know what, I don't like my current reality. You know what, I want to change things. And you know what, now I'm going to take action. Because as I said, whatever you are not changing, you are choosing. So it is up to you how you want your life to look. It is up to you whether you want to keep engaging in these negative ROI habits, these negative return on investment behaviors, because you know the direction in which that is going to take you. Just look around. Just look around at some of your friends. Look around at your family. You know, we've all got family members who we look at and think, I don't want a life like you. I don't want to end up like you. They were probably engaging in similar things. So look, just take a look around at the negative impact and the harsh reality of some of these behaviors. And then decide whether you want to continue choosing those habits and those behaviors, because they are not conducive to the life that you want. You're an ambitious guy. If you've got this far, you've probably got 8 or so minutes into a self-improvement video when you could be watching Subway Surfers TikTok clips, you know? You're clearly a person that takes themselves seriously or takes their future success seriously. So by that same metric, just stop choosing all this crap, stop choosing all this rubbish, and start choosing things that are going to lead to a successful life that clearly you want. But look guys, that's all I've got for today. I really hope that in one way or another I have provided some value. If I have provided some value in some small way, please reciprocate the favor and hit subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's free and we're trying to grow as big as we possibly can, and every single subscriber counts. But look guys, if you're interested, I'm offering a free men's Discord community. The link's down below. And I also offer my coaching services on a one-to-one basis. The link's also down below. All you got to do is book yourself a slot and I'll see you on the other side. But guys, I really appreciate your time and attention. Once again, I hope this has helped in some small way, and I will see you in the next one.